Welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs Podcast. We're on season 5, episode number 39. My name is Dan. This is Andy. Andy, this is episode 39. How are you?
I am doing good. Oh, yep, doing good.
Tonight's a sports edition. We're going to cover some sports, a lot of things going on, a lot of things happening. And so let's get to it. Bring up your screen. We'll go through
Let's
the
just
slides
jump right in.
and we'll see. Yes.
As you know, we are the best podcast anywhere. West Metro, Northern Minnesota, Kentucky, we got it. Start with some Major League Baseball stuff. We'll do a little Major League Baseball here. Here's the standings as of this morning. So as I was doing this morning, here's the standings. There's your three leaders, the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Brewers. Your three wild cards are the Braves, Padres, and the Mets. Mets holding that half-game lead. And the Pirates are only 2 games out, and they're doing very well right now. So it's very wide open here in the National League. American League, you got the Guardians, the Orioles, and the Astros. Yanks, Twins, Royals rounded it off. Boston, Seattle, and Tampa. Tampa 3 out in the wild card. Now, I'm not going to list all the signings and trades here. We've kind of talked about them on our social media pages. Most of them, anyway, we've caught. I don't know. I mean, some of the trades the Rays and Cubs have made and the Mariners that made, I don't know if there were buyers or sellers in those trades. I don't know. I don't know if they're just shuffling people around thinking maybe a new face will change things. I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. The Mets have made held pickups. We'll get to that later. But we'll see how it goes here. I brought up the standings. If you look at these, because new part I'm going to call Suckers Bet. I'll have those two gentlemen there as our mascots for Suckers Bet.
Okay.
This came out today. The odds of the 2024 World Series. They have the Twins and Guardians tied, but yet the Guardians have like a 2-3 game lead on the Twins. Mariners, as of right now, as we saw, are a game and a half out of the playoffs, yet they got a better chance of winning than the Brewers, who are leading their division. It's just, baseball is such a sucker's bet. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll go on the MLB app and I play the beat the streak and all other stuff because that's just for fun. I'm not putting a nickel down on baseball because it is such a sucker's bet. Now, if at the beginning of the year...
Now, where is this from?
This is from Fox Sports.
Is this from Vegas? This is just from Fox. They're not a gambling site. They don't run a gambling business.
Fox Bet stuff.
I don't know where they got this from.
Now, if you want to take a thing at the beginning of the year and you want to go throw $50 down on your favorite team making the playoffs, that's fine. That's all a good bet. But when you get to this stuff like this through the year, it's a sucker's bet. The Miami Marlins.
Yeah, agreed.
Here's the players they've all gotten rid of since 2017. Can you imagine if they would have kept these names? Jazz Chisholm, which they just got rid of the Yankees. Arise, Christian, JT, Stanton, Lopez, Sterling Marte. Can you imagine if they would have kept all these guys 7 years ago? And said,
that's amazing.
Nope. Kind of like what the Braves have done now when these guys all came up in 2017, said, here's some long-term contracts, boys. Oh, the teams they would have had. And here's the pickups the Mets made the last couple days. Now, granted, Ryan came in and got shelled his first appearance, but hey, that's one appearance. It picked up some names. I think the Mets really here just kind of was let's throw a fresh face in. Let's get a guy who's got some major league experience instead of calling up a guy because we are in the playoff hunt. So that's why these moves were made, I believe. The other day we mentioned how Mr. Dillon threw a no-hitter for the Padres. And he was close to a no-hitter last year. Just to show who got the better end of the deal. The next day, the guy the White Sox got for him in the trade gave up 8 runs in less than an inning to a team with its 30th best batting average in baseball. So here's the two guys. One guy throws no hitter. That guy gets shelled by the team with the 30th best batting average in baseball. Yep, that's why we play the game.
But they both have good mustache.
They both got
Both
the
good mustache.
lip hair, Garrett, there, yeah. Some more sports notes. We're just going to kind of power through this. First of all, I know Dan's going to touch on some other stuff later. The C and the B for town ball, all the playoffs have started. It's kind of like high school sports. We're not going to go through all the brackets here. I've shared a lot of them on social media. You'll see them there. When we get state tournament bound, then we'll get all giddy and excited and show the brackets. But each region does it different, and it's kind of a headache to follow. Canada soccer team, they had a little trouble with one of the coaches using a drone to watch practice with another team. They were deducted 6 points at Olympics, and the coach was suspended for a year. Now, 6 points is hard to make up in the standings there, so Canada's basically going to have to run the table to have a chance. So good luck to them. And here, Greece had a father-son play on the same team. Sorry, LeBron, you and your little bratty kid weren't the first ones to do it. Chicago Bears are allowing Jonathan Owens to miss practice to watch Simone Biles at the Olympics. Is this a good move or not? I don't know. It's early enough in the season. He's going to miss a week. Yeah, it shows how worried they are about him working out with their new quarterback, who everybody is already making Hall of Fame plaques for, but guy ain't taking a snap yet. So we'll see. I don't just consider it an apology or not. Dawn Staley comes out and says, if we had to do it all over again, Caitlin Clark would be a really high consideration for making the Olympic team. I don't know if that's an apology or what that is, but you didn't put her on the team. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. What?
If you could jump in here, if I can jump in,
yep.
Caitlin never said she was going to be on the team or wanted to play on the team. Someone very early on said Caitlin will make the U.S. women's Olympic basketball team. I still want to know where that quote came from. Who said it? Who said she was going to be on the team? And then the coach said, no, she's not going to be on my team. I'm not interested in having her. And that spawned all this agitation. So it all came from the very first person who said that she's going to be on the Olympic team, the first ever rookie, all this stuff never was even true to begin with. Now, Dawn Staley, I don't know if this is an apology or a compliment or what it is.
Yeah.
I don't even know why she's making a comment. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just let it ride. The Olympics have started. It is what it is. Just go on.
It is embarrassing, though, yes.
Something that's grinding my gears. All right, here's the situation. A's were ahead. Player comes up. He's got a shot hit for the cycle, and they walk him. It's an 8-1 game, folks. Doesn't really matter. Pitch to him. I don't care if you're the 8 or the 1. Guy's got hit for the cycle. Who cares? It was a runner on first. It's like it was a pressure situation or something like that. Pitch to him. So what? Getting a little sick of the analytics.
That's too much.
A little bit of the AI and the intelligence.
Okay. Yes.
Not going to get too deep into this. Player drafted by the Seahawks. Recently, my client, the agent says here, was a victim of extortion attempt from a text conversation. Football and basketball kids coming straight out of college who have been told they're prima donnas their whole life are going to get to be victims like this all the time. It comes down to not the coaches, not the colleges, but these agents and the parents who keep spoon-feeding these people, these kids, oh, you're the best in the world. Nothing could happen to you. Here's your millions of dollars. Of course you're going to get people are going to try to extort money from you. Are you new? I'm sorry someone took advantage of him. But again, this comes down to the agents and the parents and the influential people in his life. Don't make them think they're so irresistible or invincible. This is what happens. This is how they get hooked. This is how they get them right. And when you're paying these guys $20 million right off the bat to write their name, he has no value of a dollar. He probably has no idea how much a gallon of milk costs. So I don't get it. I to a point, I don't feel sorry for him. Here we go. Whoa. Got ahead of myself there. Minnesota Bemidji State will play the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame Museum Women's Face-Off Classic in Lakeville this year. It's with Bemidji State and Minnesota, so that'll be interesting. New Year's Day 2025. They'll be playing down there, so go Beavs.
Nice.
And now the soapbox. Are you ready?
Yes. I'm ready.
Okay, this schmuck put this out. Power 4 schools not padding their stats this season by playing an FCS opponent. FCS doesn't always lose these games. A lot of these games are too close for some of these teams to handle. Michigan has lost to FCS in the past, in the last 5-10 years. Notre Dame's too good to play an FCS, so I don't count them. And some of these other schools, they're not padding their schedule. Notre Dame, first of all, being independent, doesn't have that option to play an independent. So, whatever. USC and UCLA, they're moving conferences this year. They don't have time to mess with that. Ohio State, kind of in that, they've played FCSs in the past because they got some in the Ohio area. That's how you get some of these good rivalries that first week of the season. The Bison are going to Colorado. Now, is Colorado going to win that game? Don't know. The Bison have gone to Iowa, beat Iowa. They went to Kansas, gave them all they can handle. The Bison have gone to the big boys and beaten them and given them all they can handle. They beat the Gophers, gave the Gophers all they wanted. So it's not per se a given padding your stats. So kind of watch what you say, sir, Mr. Data's CFB.
Yeah. Would it make sense that scheduling an FCS opponent, what if they're scheduling lower teams, lower tier versus the top notch? Or is he talking that these guys are they're playing an FCS opponent that's top notch?
Even like if Michigan went ahead and tried to schedule against like Murray State, who was the last in their conference.
Okay.
Because that would be padding your stats.
Yeah.
But if
yes,
Colorado, who was supposed to be one of the big dogs this year, is playing the Bison. And those matchups were set like years ago. These were signed out for these home and homes for some of these.
Yes.
So, again, Ohio State, you got some other FCS schools in your state. Why not have it be I don't want to say a rivalry, but every so often you play them. Kind of something fun. But it's not have fun. It's college football. It's business.
Yeah, interesting.
So I was drinking and doing some thinking the other day.
Oh, well, this should be good.
Come up. So this come said, should the NHL adjust the salary cap based on each team's state income tax? Now, Florida and Texas don't have state income tax. That's why for a lot of sports, these guys are going there and playing for a little less money, but less taxes coming out. Should all sports do this to help with their salary cap? Is that why Houston and Texas get these big name players all the time? Is that how some of these guys go down there and avoid the cap or avoid the taxes so they can make more money? The American way. I got no problem with that. But if it's going to affect the salary cap, are you basing your salary cap on what because they're going to sign for less because they're taking home more because of taxes. So where are they going to adjust these numbers? I don't know. I would love to see this go. I'd love to see them do something about this. I'd love to see them all say, hey, our corporate offices are based in Connecticut, so all your contracts are based off Connecticut taxes. Not saying that's what's coming out of your check, but for salary cap reasons, we're all going to base it off this one state's numbers. Somehow, if you want to do that, great. Granted, guys still going to take home more, but just try to balance it out. Something to that effect I think would be nice.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a good talk. It's a good discussion.
Yeah. Now we're going to go back in the time machine, a little history lesson here. Games where pitchers went 7 innings or more in 1969. Braves, Dodgers, Mets, and Cardinals had 100-plus games where the starting pitcher went 7 or more innings. There's 5 teams with 90 games. Games where the starting pitcher went 7-plus innings or more in 2024 so far. Only 3 teams have 20 or more games where the starter's gone 7 innings or more. Only 3 teams.
Wow.
These pitchers aren't. That's what I said before. The consecutive complete games in a career, that's a stat that I think will never be broken because they're just not going to do it anymore. Shutouts, those numbers will not get touched anymore. Some things like innings pitched won't get touched anymore. Doesn't mean saves are going to be more, get blown up more because you got to be in a safe situation now. Doesn't mean there's going to be more save situations, or does it? Guys will be ahead 1-0. He used to get the complete game, and now you bring a reliever in for a save. But we'll see how that all works out too. And that, sir, is all I got.
Yeah, interesting stuff there with the times. Dealing with the times that we're in. As far as the pitchers, the counts, the pitcher. It's all this. It's going 3-2 counts. On all these batters. They're pitching into the black. The going on the outside of the goal.
I don't remember being so much when we were younger watching games. This 58-foot fastball bouncing in dirt on purpose. I never saw that until the last few years. That's almost a pitch they call.
Yeah.
Which is something we used to do in the video games all the time to duke a guy out. But it's a legit pitch. And the sad thing is, guys are swinging at those.
Yeah, it's interesting. They created the 3-ball count to get to the strikes because pitchers couldn't throw strikes on every pitch as far as the best they could. So they gave them 3 mulligans essentially in each at bat to get the ball across the strike zone. Now pitchers can put the ball wherever they want to put it. Why are they even throwing balls? Now is my question. And so many are taught to never throw a strike. Throw your balls around the zone for chase pitches, for swings and misses, for whiffs, for chases. Yep. And so we're seeing all these batters swinging at balls that are mostly, for the most part, not even in the strike zone is where they're getting their swings in. Right. So it's a different game altogether, but that's where you're getting the pitch count, and the pitch count's going up because all these full counts, and then the guys are also able to foul off 5-6 pitches. And then when they get to that magic 100, they're going to get pulled or yanked. And so all these things are stemming into the problems instead of just throwing the ball across the plate and trying to locate the different spots. They're so good that they can pinpoint them. And so they're not even throwing strikes. They're throwing everything on the corners and the edges, and they're painting. That's what takes the game so long. And so it's a horse piece. I don't know how to fix it, but they're utilizing the mulligan, essentially 3 mulligans on each plate appearance to not go in the strike zone. So unless that somehow changes, you're not going to see that at all.
Yeah, they throw it so far outside the strike zone, they bounce it in. It's just it drives me nuts.
So it does. Now, then again, I won't get into that, but yeah, the pitchers are that good. Now, that's not to say that a pitcher's going to have an off day and not be able to find the strike zone, or lose it and lose control. Pitchers have outings like that they're just not on or just not off. But it does take a while. But yeah, you do see the pitchers coming up that are fastball pitchers that all they do is throw, and then they get to the minors and they get to learn how to pitch for the first time. Like home run hitters coming up through college and high school, all they do is hit dingers, hit home runs on fastballs, and then they get to the minors and they have to work on how to become a hitter, how to hit the sliders, how to hit the curveballs, what to look for on each pitch, where to hit, where to position, where to hit the ball, what to do with that, all situational stuff. So then they become major leaguers, but it's also different. It's all because the SABR and the statistics. I think people are blowing their arms out, people are getting hurt, people are getting injured, but I don't know the answer to that. That's a good discussion, though. Now, when it comes to baseball, we have two important dates, Andy. Like I said, we're not going to touch on all the transactions, but Tuesday night afternoon, I think it's 5:00 tomorrow, is the MLB trade deadline. You can still trade with other teams after the deadline, but that's the big cutoff date for all these big transactions where teams are either buyers or sellers and try to make a playoff push. Like Andy said, we're seeing transactions that it's hard to tell who's the buyer and who's the seller. It's very odd. So the other thing is the MLB draft took place a week or two ago, and most everybody has signed. And so I just saw this today that the deadline to sign is Thursday, 5 p.m. I think it's Thursday this week, 5 p.m. The Twins, for instance, had 22 draft picks, 19 or 19 are signed, or 20 are signed. There's 3 that aren't, and there's 2 options. One is the number one overall, the number one pick for the Twins didn't sign. Most of those big ones are working on the millions of contract, the signing bonus. They're working on those things. The lower guys that haven't signed yet might be guys at this level that have come out and signed after playing high school and say, you know what, I don't want that pick. I'm going to decline it and go back and play some ball and try to get a better draft choice in the future. So that might be the reason some of the lower guys aren't signing. But most of the middle picks have all signed with all the teams, but they've got till Thursday to get off the pot or do whatever on that.
The Mets have signed.
Then I think once that comes out, and they have, most teams I think have. There's a few of them out there. And there's some draft watching websites to see who's going to sign and who's not. And I think once they know that answer, the reason they've got the answer, Andy, is that they will come back out now and do a top 30 prospects for each team in an MLB pipeline and redo the prospects. They'll redo those, but they can't do the list until they know who's in and who's out yet, who's going to sign and who's not. So be looking for that probably next week or two when the new prospect list comes out. And so that'll be very interesting for that. Now, speaking of baseball, Andy, for the minor leagues, Class A, there's a high A and a low A. They've only got 6 series left, 6 weeks left of the season. We just jumped over this mid-season point, whatever you call it, but it really isn't. We're way past the midway point. In fact, there's only 6 weeks to go. In Double A, there's 7 weeks yet to go. And then in Triple A, there's 8 weeks. So they'll finish. It'll be a staggered finish for the minors to all finish and do their playoffs and then wrap up and end the season. But AAA has 8 more weeks to go yet, and Major League Baseball has several more weeks after that to go yet as well. So that should be fun.
Yeah, the playoffs.
The amateur baseball team. Let's start.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, it's they each do the first half of the season goes against the second half winner, and they'll play some kind of a series. AAA has a new format this year where they'll do the first half against the second half, and then the best overall, I think, from each of the divisions, the Pacific or the International League, then we'll do a championship game. The winner of a best of 3 and a best of 3 will play a one-time championship. They're going to do that for the very first time this year, so that'll be interesting. We'll cover that on a show as well. Local Minnesota baseball, Federal League over 35 baseball. The regular season is done or will be done, I think, tonight or tomorrow. The 7 division champions have been crowned. They've clinched for the Federal League. There's 7 divisions. The winners have all been clinched. They've all been crowned. They get automatic bid into the Triple AAA bracket. It's an 8-team bracket. I haven't seen the seedings yet, or the who's playing who, or the matchups yet. But those 7 teams have been clinched. Congratulations to them; they are in. The last team is an at-large bid, the next best remaining record, I think, of the remaining teams. And so right now that's Newmarket. The Newmarket Northerns will be in there, and they will be right now in that. So there's 8 teams that go. They'll put the brackets in. That's a double elimination tournament. That's for all the roses for Federal League. Those are teams that could compete very well against amateur town ball teams in the state of Minnesota. The rest of the Federal League team, there's a double A, a single A bracket, and a B bracket, A, B, and a double A. Those are all still fun to watch. A good tournament for those guys to play in. Still very competitive, but the triple A is the one to watch. That's going to be coming out. Now, Andy said at the beginning of the show, amateur state baseball tournament, those first round of the playoffs to get rid of the lower hanging fruit in all these regions and sections now are done. The next round, now it's just looking today, it's another 2-week process to weed out. And Andy, you're right on the money. Some of these sections or regions have double elimination. Some have pool play. Some have best of 3. Some have a modified double elimination bracket. Very, very confusing. If you're new into this and trying to cover it, watch our page, watch our show. We'll be covering those kinds of things. But it's very confusing. It's best just to focus on the region that's close to your home. Follow those guys, and those regions or brackets or sections will have 2 or 3 teams advancing to the state. And I think it's a full 64-team or 32-team tournament that goes to Class C, and then B, the group from A and B do their playoffs, and they'll go together. And there's one bracket just called B. Less teams, but I think that's double elimination. I'm not sure. Class C is just single elimination. It all gets to be fun once you get to the state, but that's still 2 weeks out yet. We'll really know after this weekend, next week on our show, what's all been going on. It's really going to thin out the thinning of the herd. And then the draft takes place, and all the fun stuff really begins.
Well, like we said,
I got one more thing, Andy.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm just thinking of here.
The 7C.
I don't want to miss.
Start with the hometown 7C bracket here for a town ball. 4 teams make it, and if you look at the history, it's not always the top 4 seeds. It's like just because you're a top 4 seed doesn't mean you're in. So there's always been an upset in there. That's what makes it fun to watch. Watertown's the 2 seed. They play Glencoe, and Glencoe is hosting it this year. So. Not saying, just saying.
Cologne.
Or Cologne, I'm sorry.
Cologne's hosting
and they're hosted. That's who they got.
And so you never know if there's.
Just because you're the
I agree, Andy. It's very rare to see the top 4 seeds just advance to the state as an easy trip through the tournament. These are always tough games. The lower seeds know that they're going to be on the outside looking in, so they're going to throw their best pitcher, throw their best lineup at you, do different things on the base paths. You don't know what's going to happen here. You may see some small ball. You may see some things happening, but these games are all very good. 8 teams that made it already had to pass a first round test of a best of 3 series to get this far at least. And so you can count on 1, maybe 2 non-top 4 seeds going to state. And that's really when it gets fun because a lot of talent in the Crow River. We'll cover more of that as well, but it's a fun time of the year to start this. NFL, Andy, has started as far as training camp. Everyone is reported, the rookies, quarterbacks, the special players, the rest of the balance of the team. There's 60, 70, 80 players at training camp. I don't know how many, but all of them are in full force right now. Everything's going on in football. So we'll have more of that stuff as well. Is there anything else that you have, Andy, for sports tonight?
I said the Olympics going on. It's kind of like following the town ball tournaments. Just keep following our social media, local folks, Minnesota people, Big Ten athletes. We've been posting their results and how they do on there. Not going to hear us talk a lot about it on here because, again, the time difference, being a podcast, people watch on delay. There's no way we can give you up-to-date Olympic coverage here. Not going to try. So just our social media follow, keep that on there. The town ball stuff. keep following us. NBA, Minnesota Baseball Association, their website's very awesome to check your regions. If you want to follow your brackets there, go right ahead. Highly recommended to watch that.
Yeah, and the WNBA, they are on hiatus, and we usually cover the WNBA during this time, but the Olympics are going on. They are on, I believe, a 2 to 3 week break, so they'll come back into
NASCAR is as
full swing.
well. NASCAR is as well because NBC has a TV
Yes.
rights for that. So NASCAR's taking a few weeks off also.
We've covered that last week. That's something I didn't know either, that due to these TV deals with the Olympics, teams do have taken a back seat or just tabled their season for a couple of weeks or put it on hold to come back again later. So some of these sports are very light this time of year because of the Olympics. So beware of that as well as you're watching for your favorite teams. That's all I've got.
Sure. That's what we got. That's what we do.
All right. Have a good week.